The 12th Annual World Congress on Industrial Biotechnology, the world's largest industrial biotechnology event, is returning to beautiful Montreal, Canada in 2015. The Bio World Congress, linking chemistry, agriculture, and biotechnology to develop new value chains. So mark your calendar now for July 19 to 22nd, because this is the one event you cannot afford to miss. Join over 1,000 other high-level attendees from 700 companies and over 40 countries.
So, we work with all our clients, we encourage them to attend and to exhibit. We're exhibiting ourselves in 2014 for the second time. I'm sure that we'll be back in Montreal, and the Bio World Congress really is the event in the industry.
Top business executives, world-class scientists, biotech investors, and government policymakers, all stakeholders in building a vibrant, sustainable, bio-based economy.
Yes, we are excited about going to Montreal. It's a wonderful city. It has many great attractions. They're very supportive of life science conferences. It will be in the summer. It's going to be beautiful, so people can do business and also enjoy all the things that Montreal has to offer. So yes, we're very excited about next year.
The 2015 World Congress will feature 5 high-level plenary sessions and 8 breakout tracks, an exciting exhibit hall, and clean tech investor sessions, presentation of the prestigious George Washington Carver Award, and more than 1,000 one-on-one partnering meetings.
There's hundreds of companies here partnering. The partnering rooms, one-on-one here, I think we've had 40 meetings in 2.5 days on one-on-one meetings, and out of those 40 meetings, I'd say at least half are fruitful.
The 12th Annual World Congress on Industrial Biotechnology in Montreal. A great once-a-year opportunity to take your program to the next level.
Well, thanks for joining us here for our Agri-Pulse Washington Week in Review. I'm Spencer Chase, along here with Agri-Pulse Senior Editor Phil Brasher. And to be totally honest with you, Phil and I really just don't know what to do with ourselves. The last couple of weeks that we've been doing these videos, we always had a go-to lead topic. We always knew we could talk about trade and progress thereof. Now, this is the first week back after the July 4th recess, and shortly before the July 4th recess, the House and Senate finished their trade legislation. Off to the White House it goes. So now we need to think of new topics to talk about, and because we are committed to you, the viewer, we will do just that. And this week, Phil, the action on Capitol Hill, all about appropriations, specifically agriculturally speaking.
Exactly.
And we looked at, on Wednesday, the House Appropriations Full Committee marked up the agricultural appropriations bill funding departments like USDA and the FDA. Anything particularly surprising come out of that process? I know the appropriations riders are commonly used to kind of block policy provisions. Anything that really got through this bill that was seen as a surprise, or did things kind of fall in line as expected?
Well, I think the most important thing for the Republicans who run the House Appropriations Committee is they kept off anything they didn't want, and anything that would have there were a couple of amendments, for example, that attacked the crop insurance program. One of them would have set a income test, a means test, an adjusted gross income of $750,000 limit for getting premium subsidies on crop insurance. That was a Democratic amendment. It failed. There was another one attacking the crop insurance program. Republicans kept that off as well. The most important one was the one that was most in doubt was an amendment to continue an existing ban on the slaughter of horses.
Okay.
It's actually an amendment that prevents the Food Safety Inspection Service at the USDA from inspecting horse slaughter, and if they can't inspect it, it can't go on. There is such an existing ban. But this time the vote was 24-24. It was at a tie. 4 Republicans who had voted for it on the committee previously voted against it this year. A tie means it fails. It means the amendment fails. So this bill, the Republicans will now House Republicans will now go into negotiations with the Senate with no ban on horse slaughter in place. So that ban is very much in doubt now after the vote this week.
interesting. And Phil, you had a piece in this week's Agri-Pulse newsletter that went out to our subscribers Wednesday morning, talking about kind of the likelihood of agricultural appropriations bills getting to the floor in either chamber, really, and not looking entirely likely. And as you said, that might not be a bad thing for some agricultural stakeholders.
No, and I think you'll find a lot of, you'll get a lot of smiles on faces of like members of the House Agriculture Committee. I was just talking to Frank Lucas today, and I asked him if it bothered him that the agriculture spending bill wasn't going to get to the House floor, and he just smiled and snapped his finger like in mock disappointment.
Aw, shucks.
And the reason is because when the bill goes, if the bill were to go to the House floor, which it doesn't look like it will, that would give an opportunity for, again, these critics of farm programs, be it crop insurance, be it the sugar program is another one that's attacked on an almost annual basis, right, and certainly would be this year. Mm-hmm. That's the big chance for them to do that, because you've got Democrats and you've got many conservative Republicans who are from, say, suburban districts. They're not from farm districts. They don't see a need for a lot of these programs or a lot of these subsidies and income supports for agriculture. And this is the chance for them to propose amendments to make those changes. And you don't, if you're defending those programs, like former Chairman Frank Lucas of the Agriculture Committee, or Mike Conaway, the current Chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, you don't want the House voting to make these cuts in crop insurance, or to make these, because even though you might be able to keep them out of the final bill, it makes it more difficult when you've had a House vote in favor of doing something.
And plus amendments of that nature, I'm guessing, could just be a good way to, maybe if you get a vote on an amendment, that could be a good way to gauge support for a position. And I mean, a whip count is one thing, an actual vote on an amendment is an entirely different process. So also this week, before we let you go, I want to talk a little bit about action on the Interior and Environment Appropriations Bill, funding the Department of Interior and the Department of the Environmental Protection Agency. Thought we were going to see a little more action on that than we did this week. So are we looking into next week for more floor action on that bill?
Well, you may not see that bill again on the House floor. Huh. But this is the Interior Environment Bill. There are two spending bills, or 12 altogether, but there are two that are particularly important to agriculture. One is the Agriculture Bill that we just talked about, right, that funds USDA and FDA. And the other is the Interior Environment Bill, which funds the Interior Department and EPA. Okay. And this is the bill where you, if you're a Republican, this is your chance to stop a lot of regulations. Probably the biggest target this year is the administration's rule redefining the waters of the United States under the Clean Water Act. There is already provision to block implementation of that in the next budget year. That's in the underlying bill, and there are a number of other provisions on endangered species that are important to a number of members and parts of agriculture in different regions of the country. These provisions are already in the bill. When they go into negotiations with the Senate and the White House on the final funding legislation for the 2016 fiscal year, they still have these provisions there. It's not real critical that the bill wind up passing the House. And in fact, this particular bill, Interior Environment, hasn't passed the House in a number of years. It is so politically, there's so many political partisan issues, all dealing with the environmental regulations of different kinds and endangered species, and this year the Confederate flag, of course, involved. So it's not surprising that it doesn't pass. And in the end, the provisions that are in this bill are still going to be part of the negotiations that go on probably several months from now with the White House and the Senate for funding the government.
Well, they've only have so many weeks left to fund the government here. They're going to go on August recess, obviously at the beginning of August. And Phil, remind me, end of the fiscal year, September 30th?
September 30th. There's no way they're going to have spending bills done. Probably what you will see is some kind of stopgap continuing resolution, we call it, to keep the government in operation, unless there's the possibility of a shutdown.
Which literally nobody wants.
It didn't work out real well for Republicans last time that happened. But there will certainly be probably a lot of brinkmanship. It's going to be a very interesting fall. It seems highly unlikely that they will get some kind of agreement by, it's almost virtually impossible for them to get some kind of agreement by September 30th. Probably, we may be talking about this at Christmas.
Well, that's what we in the reporting industry call job security. And as our good folks like you who continue to patronize Agri-Pulse.com and our weekly newsletter and daily harvest emails, we certainly appreciate your support. For Phil Brasher, I'm Spencer Chase. Be sure to follow us for this and many other issues. Have a good one.